Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about something we all think we understand: development. We hear that word and we immediately picture more money, shiny new buildings, bigger cities. But what if it's not that simple? What if one person's idea of progress is another person's complete destruction? Let's dive in.
So let's start with the big question. What does development really mean? Is it just about a growing economy? As we're about to find out, the answer is way more complicated and honestly way more interesting than that. For some people, it's a zero-sum game.
This quote, wow, it just cuts right to the heart of the issue, doesn't it? It perfectly captures this feeling that for some people to get ahead, others have to be held back. This one single idea that development can be a total double-edged sword, that's really our starting point for this whole discussion. And that quote leads us perfectly into our first big idea. Development isn't some one-size-fits-all formula. Nope. What looks like amazing progress to you might be a huge problem for someone else. It really all depends on where you're standing. Okay, let's make this real. Imagine a landless laborer out in a village. For him, development is simple: more days of work, better wages. Pretty straightforward. Now think about a prosperous farmer. His goal: higher prices for his crops, maybe sending his kids to study abroad. Totally different. And what about a girl from a rich city family? For her, development might just mean having the same freedom her brother gets. See? Three different people, three completely different and very personal goals for development. And this is where things can get messy. An industrialist looks at a river and sees a perfect spot for a dam. For them, that's development. More electricity, more factories, more jobs. But for the tribal communities who've lived on that land for generations, that same dam is destruction. It means losing their homes, their farms, their entire way of life. So yeah, what's development for one group can be the absolute opposite for another. Okay, so if development is so personal and complicated, how on earth do we compare entire countries? How can we say one is developed and another isn't? Well, the most common way is to try and simplify everything by boiling it all down to just one thing: money. And the magic number they use is per capita income, which is really just a fancy way of saying average income. It's the go-to tool for big organizations like the World Bank. The thinking behind it is pretty simple. If a country has a higher average income, its people can buy more of what they want and need. It seems like a neat and tidy way to put a number on progress. So, using this yardstick, the World Bank sorts countries into different boxes. You've got your high-income countries, which are seen as developed. And then you've got others, like India, which fall into this low-middle-income category. On paper, it looks logical, right? More money equals more development. But does it really? Let's really ask that question. Does a higher average income truly mean a better life for everyone in a country? Because this is where using averages can get really, really misleading. Okay, check this out. Take a look at country A and country B. Believe it or not, they have the exact same average income. But look closer. In country A, everyone's making a pretty similar amount of money. It's distributed fairly evenly. But in country B, you've got 4 people who are barely scraping by and 1 person who is unbelievably rich. The average completely hides that reality. So let me ask you, which country would you rather live in? I think the answer is obvious. And this quote right here, it's the perfect story for country B. 4 people do all the work, make all the chairs, and 1 person gets to sit on all of them. The national average looks okay only because 1 person's insane wealth is masking the poverty of everyone else. So you see, averages can be useful, but wow, can they hide the truth? All right. Enough with the fictional countries. Let's see how this whole thing plays out in the real world. We're about to look at a comparison between three Indian states, and the data is going to prove without a doubt that development is about so much more than just money. Okay, so here we've got the average income for Haryana, Kerala, and Bihar. Now, if you're just looking at this number, you'd probably think Haryana is the most developed state of the three, right? I mean, its average income is quite a bit higher than Kerala's. But hold on. Look what happens when we start looking at other things, things that really measure quality of life. Even though it has less money on average, Kerala blows Haryana out of the water when it comes to health and education. Higher literacy rates, more kids actually going to school, and a way, way lower infant mortality rate. Let's just focus on that one number for a second. In Haryana, for every 1,000 babies born, 28 won't live to see their first birthday. In Kerala, that number is only 6. That's a staggering difference, and it proves right there that a higher average income doesn't automatically buy you a healthier society. So what gives? Why the huge gap? Well, the reason is actually pretty simple. Money in your own pocket is great, for sure, but it can't buy you everything. It can't buy you a pollution-free neighborhood, or guarantee that the medicine you get is safe, or protect you from an infectious disease. Those things, the really important things, depend on public services that work for everyone. Good schools, clinics, a clean environment. So we've established that real development isn't just about income. It's a mix of things like health and education. But there's one last, absolutely critical piece of this puzzle we have to talk about. Can we keep this going? Is the way we're developing right now actually sustainable for the people who come after us? And this quote, I think it frames the whole idea of sustainability perfectly. It completely flips the script. It reminds us that all these resources, the water, the air, the land, they're not ours to just use up. We're basically borrowing them from our kids, and we have to pay them back. And this isn't some far-off abstract idea. It's happening right now. Take groundwater. In huge parts of India, we are pumping water out of the ground way faster than rain can ever hope to replace it. That is, by its very definition, completely unsustainable. It's the same story when we look at non-renewable resources like crude oil. This table is pretty sobering. It shows the world's known oil reserves and basically how much time we have left if we keep using it at the pace we are today. The numbers, they don't look good. 47 years. That's the estimate for the entire world. Think about that for a second. That's not some distant future. That's well within the lifetimes of many of us right now. It's like our current model of development is running on a timer, and we're being forced to figure out a new way forward. And all of this leaves us with one final massive question. We've seen that real development isn't just about getting rich. It's about people's well-being and a sense of fairness. And we now know that our current path simply can't last forever. So, what kind of future should we actually be trying to build? That's the real question we all need to be asking. Thanks for joining me.